Welcome to Birds of Prey Sports Talk. We're your hosts, Jared and TJ. And in this video, we finally have some, I guess, news for the 2023 season, as we have finally the schedule has been dropped. It actually dropped on Thursday. We're a few days behind, but we're trying to get the content in as fast as possible. But I just want your first reaction to it. Like when you first saw it, I don't know if it was Thursday night or you fell asleep and it was Friday morning. What were your first reactions to the schedule? It does it make you excited for the upcoming season?
It it does make me excited because honestly, I like our schedule. It's not too hard, but at the same time, it's not too easy as well. I feel like
Right.
it's perfectly balanced in the middle. We get games that, we feel very confident that we should win. And also we get a lot of tests, like the Christmas Day game against the 49ers.
Right.
Um, we play the Bengals on a Thursday night game.
Yep.
Um,
I'll,
we have
I'll go through I'll go through the schedule after this, just so
yeah,
we can
yeah.
go down, break it down, section it up, just give our opinion on certain sections of the season.
Right. But yeah, we have the Bengals game.
Mhm.
Obviously Steelers games are always important. But I
Yep.
feel like one game that really intrigues me will be that Jaguars game on Sunday night at Jacksonville.
Yep.
I feel like that can be a good game, honestly. So,
Mhm.
like I said, I feel like our schedule is perfectly balanced, teams that we should beat and teams that will give us a challenge.
All right. Well, that I totally agree. I think that with the second place finish last year, it's going to give us the second place teams. We have to play the AFC South, which isn't very. It's not a very good division. The Titans are on the downslope, and then the Colts have always just kind of been mid. Ever since Andrew Luck retired, and the Jags were up, and then they were way down, and then they were back up again. So we'll see if they can have success for more than a season. And then who's the other team in that division? The Texans. They were good when they had Deshaun Watson, but then he became a freak, and then Lord, they just after they traded DeAndre Hopkins, it all went to
It all went
crap.
downhill.
Exactly. So I'm gonna go by game here. I have the schedule written down. I do this. I do this annual. I started ever since 2021. Um, sorry, I've got a lot of phlegm in my throat, my voice. I'm gonna take a sip of water. Anyway, sorry. Anyway, so in week one, we opened versus the Texans at a 1 p.m. game. And then we head to Cincinnati to play the Bengals, also a 1 p.m. game, which is kind of a shame. You kind of want to play them on a what they call primetime game every year. That's kind of an exciting matchup. Joe Burrow versus Lamar Jackson. Marlon versus Jamar Chase or whatever you want it to make it out to be. It's always an exciting matchup. So it's kind of disappointing that a week two matchup versus the Bengals is or not
One
on
PM.
prime time.
Yeah.
Week three we play the Colts at home at 1 p.m. game. Then we go on a little road trip. We go to the Browns at also 1 p.m. Then we go to the Steelers, 1 p.m. game, and then we go to London, our first London games in 2017. And remember what happened last time we went to London?
Let's not talk about let's talk about that. No.
It's a neutral site game, 9:30 in the morning. So if you're not an early bird, it's going to be a struggle for you. Probably sleep through the game. I slept through the Jaguars game. I'm glad I did because that was a disaster. Then we head back home to play the Lions. Kind of wanted to buy there, to give us a break after, possible jet lag or whatever. But that's not where the schedule makers had it for us. And play the Lions, also 1 p.m. game. Then we go to the Arizona for a 4:25 game. That should be interesting after they called him a running back. Um, week nine, we play the Seahawks at 1 p.m. We stay home. We play the Browns at 1 p.m. and then we play that. I don't like this right here. I'm going to stop real quick. I don't like how we play the Browns on Sunday and then the Bengals on Thursday. Like that. That seems kind of messed up. Playing a division rival. They just got Jadarius Smith. They have Myles Garrett. I don't think they have Jadeveon Clown anymore, but still, I mean that defensive front's pretty good. So I mean it's kind of irritating that they're putting us up against the Browns and then the Bengals right after that. So that's kind of an a-hole move by the NFL. Then we go to the West Coast to play the Chargers on our first prime or our second prime time game of the year, at 8:20 p.m. on was it Sunday Night Football? We have a
Yeah.
bye week 13. Then we play the Rams at 1 p.m. Some game we want to go to, isn't that correct?
Yes.
Then we have two primetime games in a row. We have a Sunday night game versus the Jags, or at the Jags, I should say. And then we have sorry, a Christmas game, our first or our second Christmas game. So it's a it's a season of redemption, especially with them holiday games or the London games. Remember the 2016 Christmas game versus the Steelers?
Yeah.
That's a fun one to remember. Um, and then that's our last home away game of the season as we play the Dolphins at home on Christmas, or I'm sorry, New Year's Eve. That's gonna be awesome on New
Hmm.
Year's Eve.
Hmm.
I hope they switch it to prime time. Imagine you walking out of the stadium and you see the fireworks downtown
Oh,
after a win, clinch division or something. I don't know.
yeah,
Anyway,
yeah.
and then you play the Steelers at home. Oh, by the way, the Dolphins game is a 1 p.m. game, but you never know; it could be flexed.
Yeah,
I think that's an easy flex candidate. And then the last game of the season is versus the Steelers, which has no time or date. So that's another interesting one. Oh, hit my mic. As we have they I think they're buying into the Steelers a little bit, not giving them a time and date there, so maybe they're thinking they're gonna fight for a division.
hmm
Doubt it. But anyway, the most important stretch of the season, I think, here is I had it noted down earlier. It's this small little stretch here. I think right before the bye week. Right before the bye week, after we come home from a West Coast trip, well, not a West Coast trip, but from to the West Coast, back to Baltimore. We play the Seahawks, a playoff team last year, and probably will be one this year, maybe. Then we play the Browns at home, and then a Thursday night game, and then a Sunday night game at the Chargers. So we have to go back to the West Coast. So that Seahawks, Browns, Bengals, Chargers, lineup right there. Is that a cause for concern as from we're coming home from the West Coast to play three good teams, and then we're going back to the West Coast. And on top of that, we played 2 games in 1 week in that stretch as well. So, I mean, you're going to have that extra day, of rest, or extra hours playing the Sunday Night Football game versus the Chargers. But I mean, does that stretch there kind of concern you as a possible, like, oh, we're tired, before the bye week, especially since our bye week's week 13? That's late.
It does kind of concern me, especially if, God forbid, we have injuries and
Exactly.
there could be a lot of fatigue in our guys. It definitely does concern me. I mean, and let's just be honest, those games are going to be physical games. I
Yep.
mean, it's physical teams. It's not avoiding contact. I mean, there's never that in football, but those will be very physical games, and so
Right.
that does kind of worry me a bit. How it will affect the state of our team. I'm hoping we can be a lot more healthier than what we were in past years, but
Right.
like again that stretch is really going to test us if we're tough, if we're mentally tough and physically tough, like how a Ravens football team should be.
Right. And I think another stretch here after the bye is Rams, Jags, 49ers, Dolphins, Steelers. I mean, that's not easy. The Steelers game will always be difficult. Dolphins seem to give us trouble the last 2 seasons. 49ers are always going to be a battle with that crazy defense they have. The Jags are an up and coming team. I mean, who knows? They could be really good. They could be really bad. I
Mhm.
mean, and the Rams, while they're falling off the edge, I mean, you still have players like, Matthew Stafford, Cooper Kupp, and you got other players on the other side of the ball, like, Aaron Donald. That's really all I could think of. So maybe they can hold him down better
Yeah,
than when they had to play Aaron Donald, Jalen Ramsey, and Von Miller at once that one time, when we had
that
a
was
beat up,
a,
team. So almost won that game too, and they're Super Bowl champions. So we played
yeah.
them better than the Bengals. So um
But
but anyway,
I just wanted to
but
say, it's also crazy how whenever we have to play the Jaguars at their stadium, it's like we shut out. It's like we just like delay in.
yeah, it's weird. Yeah.
Yeah, so that's another game of redemption. Like you said, this season full of redemption. So
Right, right, like you said, right away versus the Bengals, and then you got to versus. I mean, even the Steelers game, having them Kenny Pickett drive down the field in the last few minutes,
yeah,
and you at M&T Bank Stadium on Sunday Night Football and lose the game is kind of embarrassing. And on way it made it worse. It went to like 3 yards per carry, Najee Harris, so that made it 10 times worse. Look, he's going to be a 1,000-yard rusher every year because they're going to run the ball 900 times.
it's gonna inflate the stats.
I know it's gonna be oh look he's a 1,000-yard rusher and it's like yeah his legs are gonna fall off by the time he's 29 because he's gonna have like 1,000 carries a season. I mean Najee Harris is good. He was good in college. I don't think he's bad. But it's just like I think he's a little bit overrated in my opinion. But that's a story for another time, I guess. I think overall the schedule. I mean, it doesn't do us any favors. I mean, you can't really expect it to do us any favors. I mean, there's 31 other teams that you have to, account for. So, someone's got to get the short end of the stick. And I believe we travel 24,000 miles this year, including with the London trip. So that's a lot. I think we were the least traveled team last year, and then we went to one of the most. I think we're sixth most, I believe. I want to say the Texans are the first, but I don't have the numbers up right now. But I think uh, do you see any possible flex candidates? I believe flexing happens after week 12. So is it 12 or 10? Do you know which one it is?
I think it's 10.
Or 10. All right. So I guess I'll stick with 12 just because I don't think our week 10 game will get flex versus the Browns, especially since it's a Thursday night game.
Mhm.
The next week. So and then we have the two primetime games after that. Do you think that the Dolphins game could be flexed into a primetime game?
I feel okay. What week is that?
17.
17. So hypothetically, we should have hopefully about 11 wins by then.
At
10, 11
least.
wins.
Right, at
Yeah.
least.
I feel
Hopefully
like
it's like 16 or
yeah, yeah,
15.
yeah. I'm hoping that, if we can at least have, 11 or 12 wins by then. Any range from 10 to 12 wins, I feel like it will be flexed,
Hmm.
because I feel the Dolphins just have way too talented of a team to have
Hmm.
anywhere less than 8 wins, honestly. And same
Right.
thing with us. So I feel like that can have the makings to be game of the season and
Yeah.
flex. I can imagine us coming out in those black jerseys and and the bank is fired up, and we got Marlowe on Tyreek Hill and whoever. I mean, Rock Yassin on Jalen. you
Another
know,
one of those redemption games we're talking
yeah,
about.
yeah,
So I don't know. It's just that game was frustrating to watch last season
yeah,
in week 2, just because Marcus Peters' first game back in a few seasons, and then Marlon Humphrey went out, and as soon as he went out, they exploded. So
yeah,
that just proves how valuable Marlon Humphrey is to this team. And
yeah,
I just think that as long as he's healthy, our secondary should be good. You got Kyle Hamilton, Marcus Williams, almost underrated safety in the league. Um, Marlon Humphrey, you sign Rocky Sin. You never know. We could bring Peters back, and Roquan Smith's going to cover the middle because he's a beast. Patrick Queen's going to do his thing, getting to the quarterback. I think this defense is. I think this defense is pretty exciting. You
yeah,
got two great young pass rushers. Not great, but two good up and coming pass rushers. Adafio Way had a down season last year, but I think he has the makings of a possible good season. Especially facing Orlando Brown Jr. twice. And then you got David Ajabo, who barely played last year. I believe only played like a few snaps in the NFL and was a consensus first round pick before he got hurt in his pro day. And then you up the middle, you got possibly Michael Pierce, Travis Jones. Might be forgetting somebody. Um, I'm probably forgetting somebody at the moment, and people are going to be mad at us. But I mean, Calais Campbell with him going to Atlanta, that's unfortunate. But
yeah.
I think the biggest test of the season for us is going to see how we're going to fare against the run game,
Mm,
because when Calais was out last season, it was clear that the running holes were a little bit bigger because he was out, and I think that played a lot of part as well with Michael Pierce not being available. Sometimes I forget we have Michael Pierce just because he got hurt all last season, So I'm pretty sure other fans, thought the same thing, and you know. Are you concerned? I mean, obviously we got to play some great running backs, like Jonathan Taylor, Nick Chubb, Derrick Henry. Didn't the Lions get Miles Sanders?
the Panthers did.
Oh, what did the Lions get? I don't remember. But let me see if I can think of another one. Chargers got Eckler. I mean, he's not the great running back, but he's a great pass catcher as well.
Mm.
And then trying to see others. 49ers, Christian McCaffrey. So a lot of tests, out there for running back. So are you concerned, with the possible lacking of maybe more running holes open for opposing teams?
Um, you see, I wouldn't be. The only thing that makes me scared is we seem to be facing a lot of creative running backs, And what I mean by creative running backs, I mean guys who are so unorthodox in the way that they go, like Christian McCaffrey, like Austin Eckler, they're used in so many different ways, and it's like they're freaks of nature. Like they can stop on a dime and cut on a dime. I mean, they have just great control over their body. So I feel like those guys right there will really kind of give us a lot of trouble. But in terms of guys like Derrick Henry, and more bigger physical backs like them, I think we'll be fine. We're
Hmm.
used to playing physical backs like that. Our defense is prided on being physical and fierce. So I
Hmm.
feel like when it comes to those shifty and um crafty running backs, I feel like they'll give us, a lot of trouble,
I
possibly.
think, I have to agree, and I think that you know, you take what you can get. If you can stop him on a clutch down, here, even if he has like 80, 90 yards,
Mhm.
that's gonna help, and
Yeah,
I think you just have to accept that even if you have a talented defense, the talented running back or the talented receiver is gonna get one.
yeah,
That's I kind of use that analogy with kind of with the Orioles. It's like you need to beat the bad teams. Obviously, you need to take care of the bad teams. Take care, for the Ravens, take care of the bad running backs or the bad players or whatever.
mhm,
But when you play the good teams, or you play the good receivers, you're just kind of have to admit you're just going to battle, even if it's 1-0 game or 2-0 game, or the receiver goes off in the first half. What do? You stop in the second half. So his numbers look great. He has 8 catches for 101 yards, but that's all in the first half.
yeah,
So, like I said, good players, or great players, I should say, elite players will always get theirs, no matter how much you try to stop them. And we've assembled some great defenses, but Patrick Mahomes still lights them up. So it's like it's not something you can just stop.
mhm,
It's just something you have to limit. And I think that's the key word here. Is you're not going to stop them. You're gonna have to limit them. And if I go in with that mentality, I think that it should be fine.
yeah.
But anyway, do you have any more points to bring up here before we go on? We have another video coming out. It's going to be a schedule prediction video. It's going to be live and raw.
Um, I will say I am
Boss.
also interested, to see how our secondary fares,
Hmm.
against the receivers that we'll face. And I would like to see us bring back Kyle Fuller. I don't know what's been
Yeah.
going on with that. I don't know where he is with his injury. I haven't heard too many things, but we're going to be going up against some pretty good wide receiving cores this year.
Yeah.
The Chargers, the Seahawks.
Yep.
I always the Texans might have something cooking over there with Tank Dell.
Hmm.
Um, 49ers obviously got Debo Samuel, George Kittle. Um, I mean, even the Jaguars, I
Yep.
think Marvin Jones, Laviska Shenault, um, Calvin Ridley, Travis Etienne,
Oh yeah,
receive.
I forgot about Kevin Ridley. That's right.
Yeah. I mean, so we're going up against a lot of crafty wide receivers too. So I'm
Right.
interested to see, how we're going to build up our secondary for that. I mean, it
I
can't
agree.
Marlowe, so I would like to see big progressions from Kyle Hamilton
Yep.
and Brandon
Even Brandon
Stevens.
Stevens, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Brandon Stevens. Our guy, Kel Blue Kelly. I really want to see what he's made of when it comes to those games because
Right.
they're going to mean a lot. So
I
that's
mean,
my final take.
I have to agree. I mean, the wide receiver one's most likely going to be matched up against Marlowe, and Marlowe does a good job locking down, great receivers. I think the anomaly, his season in 2021 was kind of awful, but that was kind of an anomaly. That, like, he's been really good besides that.
Mhm.
Especially in 2022, he had a very good year. He was one of the best cornerbacks in the league last season, and I think he'll continue that into this season. He's very
Yeah,
physical. He doesn't get a lot of interceptions, but he also doesn't. Quarterbacks don't throw his way. They don't want to face the possible, fruit punch or a surprise Marlon interception or whatever. So anyway, so I'm just excited just to get the season started. It's just with the way the last few seasons have ended, it leaves a bad taste in your mouth because it's not like you got far and you failed and you know where you're going to be at. It's you fell short continuously.
yeah,
2019, you failed. You fell short. 2020, you fell short due to injuries. 2021, you didn't even make it. And 2022, you fell short again. It's falling short from failures, from injuries or from dumb plays or from choking performances or whatever you want to call it. it just feels like this year we have assembled one of the best rosters we've had in a while,
Mm.
offensively and defensively. And I think that this team has a real shot. And honestly, I think that they're being overlooked. Obviously, the new toy everyone wants to play with is the Bengals, after
Mm.
they broke onto the scene 2 years ago. And it's not going to be different this year. And I can't blame them. I mean, they have, Joe Burrow over there, Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, Tyler Boyd, they got Orlando Brown Jr., even though I don't think he's as good as they say he is, but I mean, he's pretty good. I shouldn't say that. He's pretty good. So anyway, I think that's all we got tonight, unless you have anything else to bring up.
Uh, no, that was it. That's all.
All right. Well, so we'll give our schedule predictions in the next video. So we see where we stand at the moment, unless we make any more last minute decisions, meaning the Ravens. But like I said, I think that's all we have for tonight. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. And we're Birds of Prey, and we're out.
Wow.